Originally from Clifton in Queensland, now working his way through the Melbourne music scene and around. Scott, welcome.
Thank you very much. Reading that, did you pull that from Facebook?
Yeah, absolutely.
He doesn't lurk anywhere else.
Reading that made me realize I need to update my bio with my new one.
That's what Gareth's always saying.
That on the Mint Factory a couple of weeks ago.
You say that every week on the Mint Factory.
Yeah, we do that, and we go through and pretty much give the listeners an insight into the artist, and we do it from the Facebook page.
Yep.
And it always gets.
And we like to do it from 2018 perspective, not 2013, don't we?
Yeah.
Well, I remember booking a gig for a band, and I said, "Oh, can you flick me a bio so I can put it in the event?" And they literally just wrote back the band name is a band. I can't remember what the band were called. Like, let's say they're called And. They just sent back And is a band. I was like, that's not a fucking bio, man. Like, what have you guys done? And they just started telling me, I'm like, no, write this. I'm not going to write it for you, man. Like, put it into writing. And then
send your legit bios to amrairplay@mail.com with your music. Scott, yes.
I think that's where the new indie bands actually get tripped up a lot, because they think with PR, they think that it's all about, this is even that they just go, this is what I've done, but that doesn't interest everyday people. Everyday people are interested in what your story is. So where did you come from? How did you get here?
I thought you were going to say, where'd you go?
Cotton Eye Joe. That's actually a really interesting take that I haven't thought about. I mean, I just redid a bio recently. There's a lot of what I've done as opposed to, I suppose, how I got there. So for you, yours would mention, and we spoke off air briefly about your time in Brisbane.
Yeah.
Was that developed in Brisbane for you?
I would say if I was going to tell someone my story and try to connect with the general public, I'd be telling them
the
how
plebs.
I've got... Well, I don't know if they're plebs. I feel like a pleb more than them most of the time. But I think that I would talk about how I've gone through trade work and talk about the things that aren't music, because most people don't make music, so they're not going to connect with you if you're saying I play guitar. They're going to connect with you if you say I used to make coffees for a living, trying to chase a different dream. They could be trying to chase acting, but they connect with you through that coffee avenue.
And I suppose there'd be a lot of people who were plasterers like you were briefly who can relate to that.
So you're saying, as advice, I'm just trying to wrap this up here nicely, what you're saying, instead of putting stuff about your music, you should be putting stuff about the boring shit you do outside of music.
No, I mean more...
Like Scott Mcdade is a guy that likes surfing and coffee and long strolls by the beach. Same thing.
I think that you should have... you should talk about your accolades and things that you've done. But when it comes to PR, I think what they're chasing most of the time is who you are rather than just what you've done, because I think that's where people connect with you. Otherwise it can also come off a little bit too braggy as well.
I think
a little bit of hyperbole, you mean?
Yeah,
which I'm prone to once or twice,
which you're experimenting with, I must say.
Just trying it as something, a bit of modesty. I thought I've given up on the modesty. I might try a bit of ego here.
Yeah, well, it's a bit of fun. Yet. Yeah, and you've got to do it at times to get a little bit of interest, but why not?
I mean, you probably see it, Gareth, more than the rest of us getting such an influx of music, that the bio's a way to connect. And it's interesting, actually. I think this is the first time that we've actually met in person, Scott. Yeah. I mean, obviously, we've actually known each other sort of via Facebook for I
think 3 years.
Yeah, quite some time. Well, I suppose that's the power of Facebook in a way. I think you mentioned actually, it was like in regards to booking some shows in Queensland, I think originally is how we connected.
Yeah, it was. I think it was through Chris. You were booking some gigs up along the coast, and he was trying to network with me. But I was at that stage, I was stuck in the country area. I was doing Toowoomba, and I was not really. I didn't even touch Brisbane at that point, so I couldn't really help you, I don't think.
Was that Jimmy's Hyperbolic tour from Hyperbolic World Tour?
Actually, I might save that one.
Canberra and Sydney.
It's a good tour, the Canberra and Sydney circuit.
No, it was good.
It's amazing. You can drink a lot in those 6 days you're away.
Yeah.
Which is really the epitome of being on the tour. If anyone's never toured before, like, you do a little bit of music, you do a lot of partying, and then you come home ruined.
The best part of your tour was when you stopped at Holbrook and took a photo at the front of the submarine, which is my dad's hometown.
I felt a little tingle in the heart when I was there for that reason.
He was a British captain.
Was
Holbrook.
Oh yeah.
Captain Holbrook. He wasn't Australian. He was British.
Well, most of the people in those areas probably were.
He's British.
Are.
Don't forget the dog on the tucker box.
I have been
just up
there
the road.
briefly.
From Holbrook, yeah.
5 miles out of Gundagai.
Now, before we get too distracted, Scott, obviously
We
your
do
story
all the time.
does take yourself back to Brisbane. And you mentioned a couple of mentors you had just before we went on. So, firstly, what was the catalyst for getting you into music? And then, I suppose, secondly, how did it develop from a hobby into a passion and a dream, and who was responsible for that?
Well, I was a bit of a shy kid growing up, so I had a lot of trouble. I mean, I wasn't shy. I connected with people, but I had a lot of trouble having solid friendships. So, as soon as I picked up the guitar, I could break through barriers and make new friends and do that sort of thing. And I felt more me when I did it. So I knew that I wanted to do that full time, but everyone was saying, get a plan B, do the plan B, because otherwise you're not going to, you'll die. And so I got the plan B and I got into trade work and went down that rabbit hole with the sole intention of, I'll build a business, earn residual income, and then I'll be able to make music all the time, because that's all I really wanted to do, was just make music. And I did the plan B, fell down that rabbit hole, and it just ran a business. The more that the business demanded of me, the more I gave it, the less I had time for music, and kind of went through a breakdown and went, no, this is not working, and changed direction and went up north to live a bit cheaper and practiced guitar for about 10 hours a day every day for 3 years.
First based in Melbourne, were you?
I was first. I grew up in Cranbourne.
Okay.
Born in good old Cooey Rup, which the hospital I was born in is now an old folks home.
I suppose there's something ironic about
Ashes
that,
to
being
ashes.
born in the place that you then die in.
Yep. So yeah, and I kind of it was at that point I was like, no, I'm going to do music. Like, I've tried the other way. I've tried the plan B, and it was kind of like burn your boats. Like, if you want to take the island, burn your boats. I think that's a Tony Robbins quote. Like, just if you really want to do it, then get rid of the things to fall back on. And I was very much that way. It's either I'm doing it or I'm not. That's kind of how I work. And
what was the inspiration to go to Brisbane? Was it just the furthest place to break free of the safety net?
Well, so my mother and father split when I was 3 weeks old. So I've got 4 siblings raised by a single mother. And I grew up my whole time without a father. And then I met a man who took me under his wing, and he kind of became my adopted father in my adult years. And he lives up in Clifton, Queensland now.
Yeah.
And I was talking to him about how I was struggling, like, to do music down here because I'm always working and I've got no time to do it. And he said, just come up here. Come up here, live cheap, and practice on your thing until you're at a stage that you're happy with, and then go and make it happen. And I said, it took me about 10 minutes, and I went, yep, I'm going to do that. And that's kind of how it happened.
I suppose a decision like that, you can't think of it for too long, or you will.
That's part of it, yeah. But also, I think if you really know what you want, making those decisions is easy. If you know the outcome you're after, then you can kind of sift through the information and go, that's what I want. I'm going to do that.
Yeah. And then, so you went up to Brisbane, you're rehearsing 10 hours a day. And then you're saying off air that you got to a point where you were turning over a profit as a musician and teaching and performing.
I was teaching, and I had a regular residency for original music, which was 2 hours on a Friday at the Third Monkey in Toowoomba. And just various gigs around the place, covers gigs and originals gigs in Brisbane, all sorts of things. And busking was pretty good too. And my ex-girlfriend convinced me to come down here, despite my better judgment saying I'm not ready. But I came down anyway, and I kind of had to get back onto the plastering tools just to make ends meet down here.
Yeah.
Guys, it is 20 to 9 here in Melbourne, and you are listening to Feel the Burn. Bar Talk. I keep doing it. You're listening to Bar Talk on AMR.
Give me spewing, because Facebook brought out one of those background pics with the fire just recently. And it would have been perfect for Feel the Burn, but you missed the boat.
I know. Bloody you and your name insistence on name changes. Anyway, you are listening to Bar Talk on AMR. We're going to talk about our sponsors very quickly before we go to a break, because we do love our sponsors, Jim.
Oh, that we do.
Yeah.
I suppose with that then. This evening we're joined by local Australian, really, musician Scott Mcdade.
Well, he's been all over, hasn't he?
He has. He's been up and down the east, and he's now, since returning to Melbourne, got back on the tools as a plasterer, and just some recent, I think it was recent as this week, I believe, has stepped away from the tools and got his hands back on the guitar full time. Scott, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
So the decision to get back off the tools again, having done it once before and knowing the journey that goes into it, and obviously the financial jump of not having that steady thing, was it easier to do a second time knowing what you're getting into, or do you feel like it's completely different, or was it quite easy because you know the path that you're expecting?
I think it's actually better this time because the first time around I kind of was wading through the dark a lot more and just kind of I had a lot less belief in myself to do it as well. And I hadn't made... I think you got to kind of make this internal decision where you got to accept that it's not going to be playing guitar 100% of the time. It's going to be 80% doing business and 20% making music and performing. And I was very young about that earlier. I was like, nope, I'm going to make music. I'll find a manager and they'll do it. But I think in today's world, you've really got to accept that you've got to be the manager. You've got to wear all the hats and you've got to take care of your business before you start to delegate or use leverage and get somebody else on board to help you. Because otherwise you don't know the ins and outs anyway. So you're not going to be able to know if they're doing their job.
No, it's a really good point. I've seen a lot of musicians who come into the scene, and I was the same at 18. That's the naive thing of I'll just play music and play the rooms and someone else will do it for me, and then you kind of get this wake up moment of shit, I'm everyone. And even now, like the tours I do now, I'm sort of on board with them more. I got people now working for me in Melbourne, but with the tours it's all on your own. And
until you can justify getting yourself a tour manager, you've got to be your own tour manager. Until you can justify being your PR, having a PR manager, you've got to do your own PR. So you got to really work. But I came to that realization when I was setting up another plastering business, and I was like, well, I'm doing 80% business or 80% of the boring stuff and then 20% of somewhat enjoyable plastering stuff. I may as well do 80% boring stuff and 20% really enjoyable stuff,
Yeah, and the decision to walk away, I mean, was it one that you sort of sat over for a while, or did you wake up one morning and go, fuck this?
I was watching the patterns of my life, which was kind of leading down the same path of where it was originally, where I'm just working more and more and more, pleasing clients. And I was getting nagged by a lot of people who are doing quite well in the industry and saying, just get out and do it. You're good enough. Just go out and do it. And I didn't have that self-belief in my product, I think. And that's why I was like, well, I don't think I'm good enough yet. And
is it just a case of people telling you that you are to change that?
No, I think it's more of an internal thing. I think you've really got to just... I think there is that element of having friends and family around you saying, you're good, go do it. But I do think the decision comes from you.
For you personally, what triggered that?
As I was saying, it was more the patterns, watching my life go down the same path that it did when I first made that decision to go to Clifton. It was just, I'm working heaps and I'm making less music. And it's just insane. Like, I either have, and I did have no social life and still have no time for making music. And I was thinking, what's going on, This is not what I want. This isn't the outcome I'm after. So
it's an interesting thing. I had this discussion with someone recently about I do lots of casual work rolling around, so I've got the flexibility for the music and do the music. And someone said, you're pretty much working 5 days at the moment. Why not have a real job? And I sort of said, because I'm casual, I roll in, do my 6 hours and go home. When you're full time, you bring work home with you. And I've done it before. I said, it's so hard to get home and then pick up the guitar and go into another work mode. Yeah. Because that's what it is. So you don't play for fun. It's work at this point.
Yeah,
and
well, that's what I was going to say earlier. I had a name change where I changed myself to Mcdade instead of Scott Mcdade because I was running under Scott Mcdade Plaster. So I had to have some way to psychologically shift from being a plasterer, business dude, to being musician. And I'm recently trying to change that back to Scott Mcdade, and I've got a lot of work to get everything up to par. But it feels more authentic for me to trade under my name in music, because if I'm not doing that, then I don't feel like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right for me.
So with the transition to the music, I mean, to be doing it full time, as you said, a lot of it's the business side of things, but on the musical aspect of it, is this mostly playing, you cover gigs in cafes on a Sunday afternoon, or is this your headline shows on Friday night, or is it a bit of busking, or is it a bit of everything?
It's absolutely everything.
Where to pull in, yeah.
So I say yes to everything pretty much. So if I can, I look at my calendar, and if it's a yes, then if it's a free spot, then it's a yes.
So you basically got to be a whore then, essentially, when it comes to doing jobs. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, like, if you love it, then why not?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, do you worry about the fact that you could burn out by overdoing the music, or do you have, like when you're a plasterer, you have some annual leave, like you take some time off and you go on holiday, whereas a musician, it's... Are you aware of the fact that you'll need your 2-week breaks here and there to go away?
Not at all, because growing up quite poor, I didn't really take holidays. So for me, I'm habitually, I don't take holidays. I'm a bit of a workaholic, really.
Yeah.
And I was actually asked this question at a mentoring group with Tony from Mastering Music, Mastering Life. And they were talking about how he chose his career mastering music because of the lifestyle choice. He enjoyed the scene, he enjoyed the music and all that sort of thing. And I was like, yeah, I like the lifestyle too. But for me, I feel most alive when I'm doing this all the time. Yeah. So for me, it actually energizes me. It doesn't drain me. I feel like I've got purpose when I do it.
You mentioned earlier, we'll just touch on it briefly, you mentioned earlier about some of the mentors you had. And you mentioned a couple of names before.
Mike Elrington was another one that I sort of have been back and forth discussing things with. He got on my case a lot at the beginning, where we were talking about, oh, look, man, I'm plastering all the time and I can't do gigs. And he goes, well, you got to weigh it up. Like, that time that you spent doing plastering for 8 hours today, you could have spent 8 hours chasing a gig, which would have paid you the same amount that you got out of doing the plastering. So you got to ask yourself, why am I not? And he had a look at my YouTube videos, and he said that was a big thing for him to get through, was actually having his YouTube content available, which we spoke about off air before, because he could use that to sell himself to venues.
Could you run into a bit more detail about that? Like, what is it about the YouTube that is so important?
Well, first of all, you got to make sure you've got a quality video and quality sound, because if you don't, then no one's going to look at you. But the thing that makes it important, I think, is it gives them a kind of a filtering system, because they're getting bombarded by acts all the time. So if you give them something and say, this is what I'm doing, and I'm confident enough to even put it online for the world to see, then, they can make their decision whether or not if you're going to fit their club. Like, go on.
So I find that interesting, because we get sent a lot of stuff from PRs, from artists, and they'll send their music, and they'll also send a video, but I never watch the video, ever.
I think I
load the music first, and then I put it on the mix, and then this is just how we operate, but we'll listen to it as a radio station rather than...
viewer, yeah.
I suppose that depends on, I suppose, your role as a radio station. I suppose you're all about the audio rather than the visual, I suppose. Yeah, for a gig booker, it's about that visual as well.
It's about the music, though, at the end of the day.
Yeah, and that's because you're a radio but if you're general manager.
It depends if you...
Well,
if you're booking gigs, I suppose that's...
video market.
I'd argue when you're a performer, there's heaps of things involved. Like, you have to perform. You're not just... You've got to engage with the crowd. You've got to get them going. So the video aspect, especially if you've got live footage to show how you interact with the crowd. I get the crowd singing at my gigs and singing along to choruses of songs they know and songs they don't know. And that kind of helps the way that I sell myself to venues. Because without that, I don't know how it
Yeah,
fared.
so I suppose that's the difference between venues and radio
yeah,
stations.
well, that's true. But I suppose then in that case, the way you talk about it, you make it sound like it's not just the getting the crowd organised is not just a way to get the crowd to have fun. It's more also a way, I can capture this and this will look really good on my, I don't know what you call it, musical CV. Is that essentially what it is?
Like your digital press kit.
Yeah.
I anything that I generally record all my performances anyway, just to reflect on how I've performed, both my banter, my merch pitches as well. I think merch pitching is really important nowadays.
So do you
We
go
hear a
home
lot
and
about
sit
this.
down? Yeah, I was just going to say, just following on that, do you go home and sit down and review? Like, okay, I want to see how I plugged my promo or plugged my merch this
Absolutely,
time.
yeah.
And you sit home and go, oh, yeah, that was all right. Oh, no, I've improved since 2 months ago. Oh, that was shit. I really need to cut that out and replace it with this. Do you actually, is that part of the work process,
Yeah,
sitting
absolutely.
down and reviewing it and taking notes?
Yep, I'll watch the entire thing back to front and see. I don't so much I'm more of an auditory learner, so taking notes for me is no good. But I review it and then digest what needs to be better and what I need to improve on, and then I fix that. That goes for my song performances as well. Like, I remember when I started, I used to always fluctuate my tempo so much, and I didn't even know when that was happening because I fluctuated because my heart was getting quicker, So watching the videos helped me track that and go, you need to put a metronome on, buddy.
It's also, I think it's interesting. We hear a lot of people speak about the merchandise pitch, and we had Lloyd Spiegel not so long ago, was very big on this. You hear more and more now that merchandise is the financial key for a musician. Have you found that? I mean, what merchandise has worked for you? What merchandise have you kind of gone, geez, that was a mistake. I'm not really moving these. And if you're not moving something, I mean, do you have a trick to try and get things out the door?
I think that if you created something earlier in your career and it didn't move, I would still hang on to that for the fact that I believe that the value will increase if you keep doing what you're doing, because it'll be, this was a limited edition release for that first EP. And you might not have been the artist that you are now because we're all growing, we're all getting better, but your super fans will latch onto that. They will go and get that merch.
Yeah.
So I think there's always different things that you can try to sell merch, but having a good music product is first and foremost what you need to do.
I'll tell you what, you mentioned Superfan, but Lloyd Spiegel mentioned Superfan quite a bit, so I'm guessing that must be a thing. It's like latching onto that Superfan base.
Yeah, super fans they're cross industry sort of thing. I think they really will they'll purchase 80% of your sales.
What was interesting, Lloyd's approach that he mentioned to us was in his terms core fans, and he runs it on the basis of if you have 1,000 core fans in 10 countries, and they'll spend $100 a year on your merchandise and CDs, then there's your $1 million turnover, and then you've got your peripheral fans on top of that. 100,000, yeah. Sorry.
Wish it was a million.
But he was
Six and stones,
But the idea was you only need
10,000
1,000 people in each country as a core.
I think that we need to do away. Any indie artist needs to do away with the idea of being mega famous, and maybe even in this day and age, I don't know if we will find a mega band like Metallica or something come out again, because there is just so much music out there, which is good for everyone because it just means that we can all create. Because that's what our linking factor is that we're all creatives and we all want to make stuff. So if there was more opportunity for everyone to do it, everyone had a piece of that pie, then that's better for everyone.
You think it's also negative that it is so accessible for people?
Yes and no. I think that there are always going to be pros and cons with any kind of new technology that develops. So streaming has got the negatives of people earning, 3 cents. I've got a friend of mine who put a post on Facebook saying,
It was Eric Parker, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Eric Parker.
Yeah.
saying,
I saw that exact post today.
That was great, wasn't it? Not that. It might have been the one a little while ago. He said, "I will pay for my Spotify subscription when my Spotify songs pay me enough to pay for it." But there's two ways to look at it. I think with the way that recorded music is now, it's kind of like what video used to be. Video used to be your promotional aspect. It was like, all right, I'll dump money into video. I'm not going to get any of it back, but it will help promote my gigs and my music. Now, video is more of the the product. And the music is the promotional aspect, where you're not going to get your money back. You dump thousands and thousands, you're not going to see it back, but you will see it back in other areas of your business.
Indirect investment.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting, particularly with the rise of social media as well, that, I mean, image has always been so important, but it's probably more important now than ever. You know, I think it was once put to me in a meeting I had that, you know, maybe outside your core fans, but everyone else falls in love with the image than the music. I think it's true. There's certain musicians I think are cool because they look cool, but I'm not as inclined to perhaps listen to their music as much as some other people where they could look like anything.
The question is, how much does that translate to actual financial return?
Well, I think with certain groups that, you know, you might buy. I think maybe you watch more if they're dressed cool. You might watch more videos, and then in a way, you're more likely to. If you see a record, buy it.
Have you gone into this strategy much at all, Scott?
No, I think that the best approach is to just kind of roll with what you are. I think that people are after authenticity, and the rise of social media has really made that relevant.
But isn't authenticity like that you see in an artist just perceived authenticity? Isn't it, again, that's your authentic? If you're coming across as an authentic artist, isn't that simply just the image you've cultivated for yourself?
Oh yeah, but aren't we all just doing that anyway? Like we're just creating an image of being this person to our friends and our family.
Wouldn't it be more like how much you put in, like how much like conscious effort you put into it, though, depending on how successfully you cultivate that image?
I think so. Maybe because if somebody say wants to put on a full makeup and do that full outfits, thing, that's
Jimmy's nodding very hard.
They're smart men, those people.
that could be very much them expressing an aspect of themselves that they're trying to, and that's part of their performance. Is I'm expressing something that's
a modern example. I'm thinking of 21 Pilots. I'm thinking of Tyler Joseph. That's a modern example.
And I do a lot of glam rock stuff, and there's certainly an element of that. Is that the makeup? Oh, in one way as well, the makeup's kind of like the armor before you go out to war on stage. In a way, but a lot of it is it's an expression of whatever makeup I do that night it reflects on the mood I'm feeling before the show.
It's like the old Greek tragedies where they used to literally paint on they used to wear the mask. He's unhappy, he puts on an unhappy face mask. I suppose it's a bit like that, you know?
Yeah, and it is. And like the makeup I do on a certain night can reflect the mood I'm in going into it. And there's the authenticity about it, is that if you come to a lot of shows, you might be able to start to read the makeup on, if I'm in a very over-the-top mood.
That's breadcrumbs for the ultra fans, Jim. They can go to every gig and watch where your moods change. That's marketing right there, Scott. But, this is marketing with Daniel.
It's an interesting point, and particularly what you're saying with the makeup. And I think, I think a lot of people do get caught up in the imagery. I mean, I had someone recently the other day saying, off what they see on Instagram, perhaps, of wow, like you live this great life and you're always traveling. You're traveling with music, and a lot of the traveling pictures are from a trip I did in February that wasn't music related at all, and the pictures of me on stage or like girls around me and stuff like that going, a lot of them are somewhat contrived. And if you really think that I'll
buy you a beer if you come and hold my hand.
It's this idea that if they see you living this big, it's like I like to party, sure, but I'm not this raging party animal who rolls from city to city with an electric guitar like he thought I was. And I love the fact that he believed it. But I said to him, outside of Instagram, it's a very different lifestyle.
I think that's for everyone outside of Instagram. But the other thing that I've tried to do, that goes back to your story, is I try to kind of invite people into my world a little bit. So I would be putting up pictures of me taking a selfie about to walk out on a plank that's got a 6-meter drop down stairwells and stuff, and I'm just taking pictures and being a clown, because like trying to invite them into that, into that world.
Yeah.
Guys, we are listening to Bar Talk on AMR. We've got the lovely Scott Mcdade here talking about all kinds of shit.
Scott with one T, but if you are looking him up, it's Scott with one T, McDade.
That's it. We are going to go to a break, folks. I've got a new song by Armin Soy, Silhouette. That's a fresh one. Has Gareth heard that one? Yes, no, maybe so. Oh, you probably heard me swear like a few times, though.
Yes.
Yeah. How you going there, Jim?
Very good. Very excited to see just behind me is the wonderful Scott Mcdade with every week we get something new, and I've not seen anything like this.
This is interesting. He's got
He's also very nicely set up in the back corner.
It's photo
He's-
man's blessing, I tell you.
You can tell he's working full time as a musician because he's got this absolutely worked out.
I don't know when he got here, but I don't know how long it took him to get set up. But
Well, I nearly crushed all his equipment walking in by accident. He nearly was a musician for very long, but no, we'll get a picture of that very soon once he gets going. Across all our social media platforms, of course, Bar Talk, BARRE, Talk AMR. One's already on Australian Musicians Radio on Instagram. That's AMR Australia. Of course, you can catch Australian Musicians Radio on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
you should check out Scott Mcdade's stuff on his own Facebook page, Scott Mcdade.
1.2 thousand likes.
Only because
Very
102,000,
impressive.
yeah.
Very impressive.
And,
But it's going to be awesome to see. It's going to be awesome to see it in action. When his sound check, he was sounding good, but I'm sure it'll sound even better.
I
on
can't
air.
believe how good it sounds. I mean, I've seen a bit of his stuff online, but to see it live, I mean, I'm already stirring the loins, and I don't say that lightly, as you know. I don't not
No, your
complimentary.
loins don't get stirred that often. I tell you what.
No,
Jim.
no, I'm only complimentary if they're.
Unfortunately,
female.
he's unable to talk to us because he's way over in fucking Greenland compared to here. You know,
Well, he's got
Usually,
that off now. He's just a white. He's just on the white light.
he's like a distance. It's like real music stars, and they're just there at a distance. You never get
Yeah.
to touch them, but you know.
But we're getting awfully close to watching for him. Scott, do you want to give us a yell out the first track you got?
So what is he going to tell us? What's first track? It is. I know what.
So you can hear
Just
me through that? Yeah.
no, just tell us. We'll repeat
All
it.
right, building my own stage.
Building my own stage.
by
That's gonna
Scott
sound-
McDade?
I guess we'll take it away in just a sec, guys.
Yeah, no, you'll take time. And those are one, of course, McDade, McDade. Catch them across all social media platforms. Building my own stage, Scott McDade. It's 9:41 on Australian Musicians Radio. Scott.
Hey! Breathing in and I'm breathing out. I'm building my own stage. You can tear it down, but I'll build it again. Yeah, nothing's gonna stop me. Hey! Breathing in and I'm breathing out. I'm building my own stage. You can tear it down, but I'll build it again. Yeah, nothing's gonna stop me. My web's been stringing drum beats, they're a ringing, just watch. Rapping in my lyrics, heart's feeding on adrenaline. My venom can paralyze, it's freezing, but not cold. Turning up the heating with some new rhymes, new crimes. Listen to my flow fly, no lie, cause I'm mixing genres with my drummers. Now I'm dipping into fucker, cause I wanna make this king action get a little hotter. What you got trending is what I'm blending. My web's been spinning, my nails, you've tricked and confess it. Your bones are chilling. Cause you know I'm just a predator, the narrator that carries you. There's no lie stitched in my rhyme. 5 years by and I rebuilt my life. Built my wire, rebuilt my ties. Built whatever you thought I was. Breathing in and I'm breathing out. I'm building my own stage. You can tear it down but I'll build it again. Yeah, nothing's gonna stop me. Hey! Breathing in and I'm breathing out. I'm building my own stage. You can tear it down but I'll build it again. Yeah, nothing's gonna stop me. I'm a 8-legged elephant. Remember how it felt when I wake up every morning just to start it all over again. Working my rhymes, hurting inside. 10 hours a day, never saw the light. It took discipline, yeah, a lot of heartache. Made more mistakes than the Thomas A. Edison. Failure was my medicine and winning was a sedative. I used my pain and I reap the benefits. Then again, still couch surfing. Now it's in my own freaking house, man. So much for a predator, I'm more like a janitor. I had a harder time paying rent. Then again, but loving to place my bet. Bet it on myself. Lost a lot of cash and I lost my mental health. Now, music is my hunting grounds. Rapping is just my stepping stones. Breathing in and I'm breathing out. I'm building my own stage. Hey, you can tear it down, but I'll build it again. Yeah, nothing's gonna stop me. Hey, breathing in and I'm breathing out. I'm building my own stage. Hey, you can tear it down, but I'll build it again. Yeah, nothing's gonna stop me. Hey. Not a typical
my spell. Built this web, but as for you to nuzzle in, it's designed to ensnare as I deliver my sermon. Servant to the craft, have been from the start. If I hadn't, I wouldn't have gotten this far. But before I can start this carousel, sent you spinning. Got a message that needs to be resurfaced. Use myself as a number one example. 5 long years, never thought this could happen. Remember them laughing and the vicious backstabbing. Barely standing as I deliver the facts. And sample number 2, you yourself know the truth. You could do anything that you set your mind to. Built this vibe and it's stronger than steel. Cause for me, it's always been an odd ideal. Breathing in and I'm breathing out. I'm building my own stage. Tear it down but I'll build it again. Yeah, nothing's gonna stop me. Breathing in and I'm breathing out. I'm building my own stage. Tear it down but I'll build it again. Yeah, nothing's gonna stop me.
Thank you.
Wow.
So come over here, Scott. That was a pretty cool little ditty, wasn't it?
That was mental. Is the word I've
Get
got
there.
for
Yeah,
it.
no, that's true.
Yeah.
So we'll turn these up.
So I should sort of pull you straight off there,
That's all right.
Scott.
Oh,
but
good.
Just firstly, for those who aren't aware, that there's 4 pedals in. So to describe it, there's 4 pedals in front, Scott. Electric drum pads of sort of kick drums, and all set up for the snare, the hi-hat, and the kick.
Yeah, depending on the song, this song just had bass kick, an 8th note bass kick, and a snare and a crash cymbal. But you know, depending what I need, I'll put a hi-hat in. I'll put a cowbell if I need a cowbell. You know, whatever I can.
Do you have
my
different
spot.
presets for each
Yeah.
set song and all that? You can
Yep.
switch between.
I tried to keep it simple today and use the same preset for all the songs I'm playing. But yeah,
Where did the idea, apart from it's obviously cheaper to be your own drummer, I mean, where did the idea come from, and how long did it take you to master that? Because you make it look effortless, and I'm sure it's not.
yeah, it's definitely not. So the idea came from I've always been kind of thinking ahead and going, okay, well, I'm going to make this music thing work. And hiring a drummer is very expensive, although very worth the money. I didn't have that money to get a drummer. So it actually came about when I came to Melbourne, and I realized that I really needed to step my game up if I wanted to get any kind of notice here. So I wanted that full band sound. And I grabbed my electric drum kit, which is now in pieces, obviously. But I grabbed my electric drum kit and I unplugged the bass from the brain and plugged it into the snare MIDI sound, and it went, and I was like, ooh. And then I slowly built it together to what is working now. I don't know if I'll get more pedals, but I think what I've got now is pretty good. And essentially, yeah, that's how it came about. It took me about just over a year to really get my head around it, to really put in the time.
How do you find that setup goes for busking?
Great.
Do people really latch onto it?
Yeah, I think it's because I also think about what's visually appealing as well. Being a performer, you know, I really want them to have the best experience they can, and this just looks like one of the lines in my song. I'm a tarantula on stage. You're under my spell. It kind of hypnotizes people a bit because they're just like, what's going on?
It's absolutely awesome.
How long did it take from the inception of the idea to, you said it took you about a year to get your head around it. Was that before you were completely comfortable doing it? Was it a year before you did it live? At what point did you go, okay, this is there enough that I can show this to the world?
So the first song that I released on that setup is the one that you just heard, Building My Own Stage. And that I wrote in April last year. And this was just before I went, all right, I've got to do plastering, like full time to survive. And I was just pretty broke at the time. So I think the first performance I did was in September of that year. And it was only a small performance because I didn't have many songs, because each song was taking me quite a while. Now I can throw together a song pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But I would say, probably 4 months or so before I was able to write music with it and use it properly.
So the lyrics come and the music come, and then you'll shelve the lyrics and focus on.
It's different
beats
every
of it.
song. It's so some songs will be like, all right, this guitar groove. A lot of the time the guitar leads me. A lot of the time it's like I'll hear something and then try and work that out, or I'll let my hands do the leading, and then I go from there and go, yeah, that's not musical. Let's try something else.
You know what I'm keen though for, Scott?
Not really.
Another couple of songs.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's all I came here for. That's all I came here for.
Is there anything we can all play percussion to? Like we've got tambourines. We've got
Maybe
egg shakers.
later.
Yeah.
Well, a bit of a jam.
Bit of a jam.
What's next in the pot for us?
Next
Daniel
in the
destroys
pot.
the equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He keeps I do the same. I keep knocking it. We'll put it at the back.
Let's run with a song that I wrote. It's actually in the key of not being paid as a plasterer. I wrote it because as a tradesman, you've always got that risk that you're not going to get paid. And this song was about a man who didn't pay me. And in the end, I kind of felt sorry for him because he trades all his friends and his family and his time in the pursuit for money, and he worships it. So I wrote this song for him.
And what did you say it's called?
It's called Worships the Cash.
Worships the Cash. Let's go in here. While he's getting over, Jim, I think we might do a very quick sponsor on.
Yep,
Because we
absolutely.
never forget our sponsors too.
No,
Romhouse
and without them.
I do this every week.
Worships the cash. Poor young man spends all his time. He worships the cash. This poor young man spends all his time worshipping the cash. Buying this and that, he's spending like he's living on a fast track. Cause he stacks cash, but the fact's that he's stuck in his rat pack. He's stuck cause he lacks facts, stuck cause he thinks he's got freedom. But it's just on the weekend, cause every other day he still needs him. They feed him, believe me. He's filling up his wallet, thinks he's so important. Center of the portrait, but the lines are distorting. Warning, use caution. If you gotta deal with him, you gotta deal with extortion. He's a monster, obsessed with the dollar. He sell his own soul to make another. His lies are coming to the surface. Poor man spends all his time. Worships the cash. Poor man spends all his time. He worships the cash. Small middleman's now a victim. Built his own walls out of sickness. He's twisted addiction to the money system. Led to a schism, can't you see his symptoms? Defeated, conceited. He's cheating and he's leaving, getting rich through stealing. And the lies that he's weaving has left him open. Just blow it, throw it into the bogies, wishing and hoping one day he'll be loaded. What bogus, don't think he noticed. Getting him rich has never been their motive. Blindfolded, he's lost his focus. Watch him try and sugarcoat it. His lies are coming to the surface. Poor man spends all his time. He worships the cash. Poor man spends all his time. He worships the cash. Hey! Not much has changed now in his old age. Hoping life will turn around with a bigger paid wage, but he still can't wait. Takes their bait. Next thing you know, he rents a bigger estate. Mistakes made, misplaced blame. Now he's looking for a way out of hell again. But he doesn't go about it right, cause he can't go without his lies. If you disagree with these empty pleas, then you're just another of his enemies. Controls he's lonely. No one wants to even tread too closely. Controlling, truths unfolding. Watch his lies unloading. His lies are gone.
you. Scott, we are keen to hear that third song, I reckon. I don't know about you. He's going to nod. He's going to say yes, or he's going to just sit there looking funny. He doesn't have to nod because he's only on air. Nobody's seen what he's doing. But Jimmy, I'll tell you what, that is some pretty good setup.
I tell you, like, just forget about what he's doing with the feet. Just the music's brilliant. Takes a lot to impress me on this show, and you're doing it in spades.
He's been thoroughly impressed, so well done, Scott. All right, so what's just yell us out what this last one's called, and we'll relay it on air.
This is overdue.
Overdue. Well, final song from Scott
This
Mcdade.
is overdue or overdue? This is overdue.
This
by
is
Scott Mcdade.
overdue. Let's hear it.
Butterflies going up and down on this roller coaster ride. Knew what you wanted, you knew what it was honing. As far as I could tell, we were right for the moment. But my broken, lonely, open with emotions, addicted to the motions, swaying against the notions of life. It's not as if I didn't try. We were living in a constant lie, an unconscious bind to the conflict. I had forgotten why our promise died this time as well. It's not as if our hearts couldn't tell. We were just too blind to this carousel, spinning out of hell, spinning out of control, all alone and exposed, unloading what we both know. This is overdue, can't be with you, so take my heart. This is overdue, can't be with you, so done enough, and I'm waking up. Day in and day out, traveling further south, getting deeper in the dark. Left the theme park surrounded by street art, hoping to just find a way to hit the restart. Tripping on the details, bound to derail. Never thought we'd see the end. You say you still wanna be real good friends. Well, I just wanna get to know myself again, but for worse or better, we've cut out tethers. So much pressure, eating tasteless pleasures. Wasted future for a shaking room, and tiptoeing through this haunted house. Cause love is more like dodging cars, no solid laws, just open war where you avoid getting hit, getting toyed by your next kind of hit argument. This is overdue, can't be with you, so take my heart. This is overdue, can't be with you, that ain't enough, and I'm waking up. Time, was it all a lie? It's choked and died and your phone's now ringing, and I'm now singing about a broken love that fell apart like a broken free for or a pendulum seesaw, flattened beach ball. The fun's now over, time to get sober, get back on my feet, get back on my mission, get back my ambition. Easier said than done, gotta crawl before I run. But if I don't start now, start to think about how it used to be before all of this went down. We can't fix it now, it's black and white, it's all played out. People enter your life when they're needed, when they're not, they're leaving like you. This is overdue, can't be with you, so take my heart. This is overdue, can't be with you, so not enough, and I'm waking up. This is overdue, can't be with you, not enough, and I'm waking up. This is
That was smashing, man. I'm fucking loving this.
That was fantastic. That was absolutely fantastic.
I'm not this, you, man. Scott
Yeah.
Mcdade.
Oh
was
yeah, that's what
something
we're
else.
talking about. Was that? I didn't think we were talking about anything else. No, that was awesome.
That was something else.
It's
down
always
there.
good when you get something that's just different from what you've had before.
It's
Oh yeah.
up there with Sam McCann.
You reckon?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those turn out. We put them up.
I love his sound, man. I really do.
Thanks.
That's awesome.
Thanks,
They
guys.
seem
I mean,
to come out well too.
We've,
So
we've probably been friends on Facebook for a couple of years or something, but I don't get to hear a lot of the music unless they send it in or they come in or whatever. And artists like you blow me away every time.
Thank you.
No, blow away.
where can people see you play next, Scott? We got a gig coming up that we should know about.
I'm actually going to be playing at the Phoenix Open Mic, which is tomorrow night. Which is because they're
A Chris Alcoma
Andrew.
event.
Oh, is it
yeah,
Andrew or Chris?
No,
Chris.
Chris.
because I think that they're closing down for renovations for a period or
They
something.
are,
Yeah.
yes. Have you got any shows coming up? We should. Something we can see you play for more than
Where
15
can it-
minutes.
Yes, I do actually. I'll be busking down at the the district markets in the Docklands.
Oh, fantastic.
And I've just booked that in again. I did that last Sunday or just Sunday gone, and they want me back, so I'll be there on the 5th of August, I think it is.
Beautiful. We'll make sure we get that. If there's an event up in that, let us know in a message, and we'll make sure we get that plug across our platforms.
Have you ever played up at Suki?
No, I haven't.
Get up there, man. I reckon
They
you'd,
would- the Hills
they would
folk would
love you,
dig
man.
in.
Yeah, and not only Suki, but there's a couple of other little venues that have opened up around Belgrave.
Yep.
So hit up the Belgrave Gig Guide, I think it
Yeah.
is.
Yep.
And just ask
Jen
around.
Lane?
Yeah, the Facebook page there.
Yeah, Chin Lane as well.
I guess that about wraps it up for the moment. We'll come back with a bit of a joke, I reckon.
And little things.
I want to
as
have
well.
a jam.
But a jam. Oh, if you can stay back and do a jam, Gareth.
Scott up for a jam. I'll jump
The
on
Scott
the drums.
Yeah.
the
let's do
Scott
it.
Mick Jam.
Well, you
we've
were-
got 2 or 3 mics here. We can mic up the drums.
You were taught by the great
Ron Sandilands
Ron Sandilands.
from ABC Show Band.
So very exciting. All right,
Years ago.
It's
Can you
10 Eastern Standard Time, Australian Eastern Standard Time. That is. You're listening to Bar Talk. We've just had Scott Mcdade. That's Scott's SCO1T
We're going to
MCDADE.
have Bar Talk Extra, surely.
Yeah, and we've got all these links across his platforms on our social media platforms. Australian Musicians Radio. We'll be back with the only thing you tune into outside of Scott.
Isn't that right?
Don't go away. I'm going to do a Red Eye special.